Hello, welcome to Managing the Work-Life Balance in a Pandemic, presented by the Trainee Ambassador Group. I'm Alex Bose. I'm a former Lind trainee and now a licensed psychologist at the University of Tennessee Health Science Center in the Lind program.
Hi, my name is Elena Cordiero. I am a previous trainee from Drexel University, and I currently work at UCSF as a clinical research coordinator.
Hi, my name is Joyce Afoy. I'm a former MCH Center of Excellence trainee at the Rollins School of Public Health, and currently I'm a research analyst at JVS International.
Today, our objectives include introducing the TAG and TAG objectives, defining the work-life balance, providing examples of ways to set boundaries and create communities to support the work-life balance, and finally, to provide resources to create your own work-life balance. So first, let's introduce the TAG. The TAG, or Trainee Ambassador Group, is run by the Maternal and Child Health Bureau. Every year, TAG consists of 10 ambassadors who are current and former trainees from a range of the Maternal and Child Health Bureau's Division of MCH Workforce Development. Graduate and undergraduate education programs, including Centers of Excellence in MCH, Developmental Behavioral Pediatrics, Leadership Education in Adolescent Health, Leadership Education in Neurodevelopmental and Related Disabilities, MCH Catalyst, MCH Nutrition, MCH Pipeline, Pediatric and Pulmonary Centers. The goals of TAG are to foster connections between trainees across MCH training programs, provide trainees with leadership development opportunities, and to strengthen the link between trainees and the MCHB. The TAG provides trainees with the opportunity to conceptualize, develop, and lead efforts to facilitate trainee connections via activities such as mentoring programs, trainee forums, and collaborative research projects. Ambassadors attend monthly virtual meetings and work collaboratively to create trainee-focused products such as the MCH Article Club, the Making Lifelong Connection Conference presentation, and connect trainees via multiple social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. The TAG accepts applications for new ambassadors every year. The application will be available in the fall. If you have any questions about TAG, we're live in the chat, or you can contact Molly or Caitlin, and their contact information will be available on the last slide. So what is the work-life balance? Cambridge defines the work-life balance as the amount of time you spend doing your job compared with the amount of time you spend with your family and doing the things that you enjoy. This phrase, the work-life balance, has been a buzzword for years, and the concept that employees should avoid letting work overtake their lives. It is part of the conversation about balancing family and home responsibilities, as well as mental health, exercise, hobbies, and many other things with a career. Another more recent iteration of the work-life balance is the work-life harmony. It's about your energy and where you invest it to make life richer. Work-life balance is all about the what, the when, the how, and the work-life harmony is all about the why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Who are you doing it for? Who are you doing it with? And so when you start redefining your activities this way, you notice a shift happen. The global pandemic has changed the way we work, making the work-life balance or harmony more challenging as the lines between work and life have blurred. For that reason, we thought talking about the work-life balance for this year's conference theme, Cultivating Resiliency During Times of Change, was a perfect fit. So maintaining this work-life balance can benefit you in many ways. Here are just a few. Work-life balance helps to reduce stress, prevent burnout, improve your mental health, increase productivity. I know everyone wants that one at work. Improve your relationships and foster resiliency. There are many more benefits to maintaining the work-life balance. We live in a world that's built on a foundation of productivity where it's really all too easy and more often than not encouraged for us to define our worth by the volume of work we're able to accomplish in a given day. However, the value we assign to our lives and the mastery of the work-life balance should come down to how well we're able to prioritize aspects of our lives that we enjoy most, whether they're professional or personal, not just productivity in the workplace. Creating work-life balance helps to prioritize the aspects of our lives that we enjoy the most and build resilience. There's several ways to create a work-life balance. Here are a few that we're going to highlight as we have found them to be helpful as trainees and early career professionals. First, shifting expectations. In the pandemic, we cannot expect ourselves to perform at the same level we were performing before the pandemic. That's both productivity as well at work as well as our personal lives. We need to lower our expectations for ourselves. Perfection does not exist, and it's okay that we're not as productive right now. Second, Elena is going to talk about setting boundaries so that you reduce burdens and you create a structured schedule that's flexible, but still allows for you to set boundaries. Third, Joyce is going to talk about staying connected, checking in regularly with people professionally and personally that are the most rewarding.
Great, thank you so much, Alex. So it's really important to take a real break in order to set boundaries. And by a real break, I mean step away from the computer, step away from the work task, close your laptop if you need to. And some helpful tips for your break is to go outside for a couple minutes if you can, maybe even just walking to the mailbox, take a walk around the block. Something I like to do is to go outside, take a walk around the block, and I call up my mom for a couple minutes and then I come back. A tip to take a real break though is to really avoid looking at a screen. So put your phone down and put your computer down. This will help reduce eye strain and also reduce fatigue and kind of help that productivity. It's also really important for setting boundaries to block off personal time on your calendar, just like you would with your professional time. And this is really helpful, especially if you share a calendar with your colleagues. That way they know when they can't reach you and they can't pull you into that last minute meeting, for example. And also it's really important here if you stick to it. Schedule that personal time to take a break and really stick to it. It will help keep you going through the day. And a third tip, our handy dandy to-do list. These help us stay organized throughout the day. You might have a professional to-do list and a personal professional to-do list, or you might have them as one. Some examples are an online calendar with reminder alerts. There's a lot of task management apps that you could do, that you can have on your phone or on your desktop. And here's some more examples on the next slide. Next. Great. So one example is the Eisenhower method. You might have seen this in some capacity. Here's just two examples with basically the same information. But the Eisenhower method splits your to-do list into 4 quadrants, and this helps delegate your tasks, but it also helps delegate your time and energy in a more effective way to maintain your to-do list. So the most important tasks will go in quadrant one. Quadrant one, these are your pressing deadlines, like submitting a report to your boss. Quadrant two are important future tasks that don't need immediate attention. This could be like looking at conferences you hope to attend or even exercise. Quadrant three are urgent tasks, but they don't have a deadline. This could be like your less important emails or even cooking or meal prepping. And then quadrant four are your better and moderation tasks. These are things that you like to do during your day, but they could actually get in the way of getting things done. This could be like checking your feed for news updates, for example. Since we're in a live chat, go ahead and drop in the chat if you've tried this method and if you have any tips that you could share. All right, next. And so this is another example. It's called bullet journaling. You've probably heard of it. It got very popular recently. Bullet journaling can be used to track your tasks, schedule appointments and meetings, manage projects, and just jot down notes. It's a good way to just quickly jot down those thoughts or ideas that come up, and continuously you review and update this list throughout the day as needed. It's kept in a journal versus on a sheet. That way you can kind of see progression over time. And if you didn't get to a task, then you can move it over to a new day. People also use bullet journaling to keep track of goals and accomplishments. And this is really good if you have annual reviews and you like to keep track of everything that you've accomplished throughout the year to share with your boss. If you've tried this method, please also drop in the chat and if you have any tips to share. Next. This is just some quick, easy stretches that you can take at your home office or at work. It's really important to get the blood flowing. This helps to reduce burnout and also so you reduce some tiredness. There's apps that you can install on your phone or even on your desktop that will remind you when it's time to move. If you can move at least even just a couple minutes every hour, this would really help with fatigue and burnout and really give you some balance there. Next.
Okay, thanks so much, Elena. So a huge part of work-life balance is leaning into the communities that you're within or communities that you're not already exposed to. So when I think about the importance of communities and connectedness, I always think of this quote, "Alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much." And I think that really is the perfect way to capture the different communities that we live within. So as the severity of the pandemic has grown and altered our lives over the past year, it's become increasingly difficult to unblur the lines between our work and our personal lives. But in trying to adjust to our changing environments, especially existing and working and learning at home, another strategy that can be helpful to this change is focusing more on the different communities in our lives. So in regards to managing work-life balance, we can classify some communities as being more personal and others as being more professional, but both of which can be extremely beneficial to learning and leaning into, especially during this time where we're all dealing with increased social isolation. So here are just a couple of communities between the two groups that I mentioned that you probably already have access to, or new groups or communities to consider. Some of the professional communities include your coworkers or colleagues that you work with every day, LinkedIn groups and alumni groups for the past colleges or academic programs you were in. Some personal communities are book or article clubs, virtual health and fitness groups, and identity-focused support groups. Next slide. Okay. So for the professional aspect of communities, as we continue to work and learn at home remotely, finding ways to stay engaged professionally can be difficult and intimidating and awkward, as we've all experienced sometime in the past year. So the past year has brought so many different transitions, including starting new positions remotely, starting schools or new programs remotely, and attending conferences remotely as we are today. But here are some different opportunities to encourage communication within professional communities that you likely already have access to. And it can be easier or less intimidating to lean into these communities that center different interests or identities that you identify with. So some of these include Black Ladies in Public Health, the Latino Caucus for Public Health Millennials on LinkedIn, South Asian Public Health Association, and Women in Public Health. So all of these groups are either on LinkedIn or their own professional group, but they're easy to have access to. I personally have been able to make some virtual connections within the Black Ladies in Public Health group, and it's really made a difference in staying connected and meeting new people while we're all working at home. If you know of any other professional groups similar to these, go ahead and drop them in the chat so we can share with one another. And just for some opportunities for engagement within these groups, regularly if we were in person or at work, it'd be easier to connect with colleagues or other professionals through meetings or lunches or things like that. But here are some other activities, opportunities, and for engagement for you to do while you're meeting new people in these different groups. So this includes scheduling small talks or social chats at work or in other groups, attending webinars or learning sessions with colleagues where you guys have similar interests in a certain topic, or hosting bi-weekly or monthly kudos sessions where you guys can really get the chance to talk about not just work, but your professional wins and another way to stay connected with one another. And finally, the great thing about personal communities, which are some of my fave, is that it gives being virtual, it kind of gives you more access to various things that you might not have had access to before because of traveling or location constraints. So here are some examples of different personal communities that we can lean into that focus more on the life part of the work-life balance. So these can include book or article clubs, such as the MCH Tag Facebook article group, which we will highlight in the resources slide a bit later in the presentation. Another example are virtual health or fitness or cooking groups. And this is really popular since we've all been at home. We've had to get creative about ways to stay active, which was mentioned earlier in the presentation, or finding new ways to cook. So this serves as a great opportunity to connect with other people on a more personal level. Identity focus groups are especially crucial, especially now in times of isolation and decreased interaction with others. So it can be really rewarding to connect with other individuals that share similar identities as yourself. And this can be along race or gender identity, sexual orientation, etc. And finally, there's also art and culture focused events to consider. And this is a really interesting way into leaning into a more personal community because this is something that has been affected and altered due to the pandemic. For example, it's difficult to go to exhibits or museums since we're all at home and social distancing, but there is the opportunity to virtually tour some museums in DC for free. So this serves as a great way to connect with other individuals that may have similar artistic interests as yourself. Overall, a lot of these groups and activities can be found using some of these search engines or websites, Meetup and Eventbrite. And it's a great way to make more connections with people that share similar interests.
Great, thank you. So we've listed some resources here that we discussed earlier in work-life balance, as well as some new ones. For example, the tomato timer is really helpful to help keep you on track and actually give breaks throughout your time. And then there's also some helpful TAG and MCH resources here in general, such as the Association of Maternal and Child Health Programs. Feel free to add to the chat any other helpful links or resources that you think others would enjoy.
So here is contact information for Molly and Caitlin if you have any questions about TAG applications or the TAG specifically. Also, you can learn more about the TAG at this link right here. This will take you to TAG's page that describes the group, as well as provides links to Time with TAG, where ambassadors talk about what they're doing with the TAG each month. The LinkedIn page and Facebook pages will also be linked here as well.
So before we wrap up, we wanted to highlight a survey that we'll be disseminating after the presentation, and your feedback and perspectives are definitely needed and valued. So the survey will be used to help plan and guide future MLC presentations, such as this one, and ensure we're really capturing the needs of current and former trainees now and in the future to guide future TAG activities. So be sure to fill out that survey when it's sent out. Next slide. It's not going to the next slide. So, as it's been mentioned throughout the presentation, the severity and reality of the pandemic has grown and altered all of our lives over the past year. So, which is why we wanted to highlight ways to realistically practice work-life balance and really emphasize the importance of this year's conference theme, cultivating resiliency during times of change. So with that, we hope that you take these strategies. So shifting and managing your expectations, setting boundaries, staying connected with personal and professional groups or communities, and use those strategies to continue managing your work-life balance. Thank you all so much for attending. And if you have any additional questions, please drop them in the chat or reach out to Molly and Caitlin for tag specific questions. Thank you.
Thank you.